Today we're going to be learning the left-hand rule and how it applies to the first quadrant of your unit circle, and then how we can apply it to the rest of your unit circle. So we can just take your left hand and we are going to create a grid on your left hand. So this being your y-axis here, and this being your x-axis. So your pinky is your x-axis and your thumb is your y-axis. Now, if we talk about this in terms of a unit circle, right, all the way up here at your thumb and all the way down here at your pinky at the very tip should be a point. Now, if we talk about the unit circle specifically, we have the coordinate down by your axis at 0 degrees or at 0 radians is what coordinate? Well, this should be 1 comma 0. The unit circle is only 1 radian long. Sorry, 1 radius. Your radius is equal to 1 all the way around your circle. Now, similarly, all the way up here at your y-axis, right? If we've gone all the way up, what would be the degree here? Well, this is a 90-degree angle here. So if this is 90 degrees or pi over 2, right, your coordinate is what? Well, your coordinate is 0, comma 1, 0 being your x value, right? Your x value on your y-axis all the way up here is 0. And your unit circle, again, being the radius is 1. Now, let's take, for instance, some of these other fingers. So let's cut your 90-degree in half. So take your left hand, and we're going to kind of cut it in half and figure out your middle finger, your middle value. So your middle finger here is representing cutting your 90-degree angle in half. So 90 degrees divided by 2, this is a 45-degree angle. Or we take pi over 2 and similarly cut it in half. So now we have pi over 4. So that just means that your middle finger here is going to represent a 45-degree angle. And I'll do this in a different color. So this is a 45-degree angle, or pi over 4. Now again, it also has a coordinate, which that's going to be where this left-hand rule comes in place. So let's take this coordinate here. Let's see. If I were to put down, oh no, I'm going to do it over here. So if I put down my middle finger, so everybody else put down their middle finger, right? We now have 2 fingers remaining up above. So this 1 finger, 2 finger, these are going to represent the x coordinate of your point. So it says the number of fingers you have on the top. So the top of the one that you have put down, these are going to be your x coordinates. Now the number of fingers located down below, so you have 1, 2, these are your y coordinates. Now, how does this apply? Because we know that hopefully that your pi over 4 has the point, and I'll put my point over here. It has the point root 2 over 2 and root 2 over 2. So how do we get to that point? Right? Well, you will always have the square root of some number over 2. This is always the case. Now, the number that's in here is the number of fingers that you have left over. So this is the number of fingers that are up. So if we had, if we look at your x coordinate, we said we had 1, 2 fingers left over that's above. So that means that we have root 2 over 2, the 2 fingers that we had above. And we had 2 fingers below, so we have root 2, my 2 fingers below, over 2. So that's how we get your coordinate right here. Now let's try it again with some other practice. So let's try it again. Now let's take a third of 90 degrees. So just take 1/3 of your 90-degree angle. Therefore, we have a 30-degree angle. So this angle here is 30 degrees. So if we did the same thing with pi over 2, let's take just 1/3 of it. So 1/3 will give us pi over 6. So your your ring finger here is now going to symbolize pi over 6 or 30 degrees. So this point here, let's figure out what point this will give us using your left hand rule. So instead, instead of putting down your middle finger, let's put down your ring finger here. So everybody put down your ring finger. Now we said the values above, so these values up here are your x coordinate. So how many x fingers do we have? We have 1, 2, 3. So we said, okay, well now we're going to take those 3 fingers. We say we have the square root of 3, our 3 fingers, over 2. So that should be our x coordinate. The square root of 3 over 2. And then your y value comes into play with the 1 finger that's remaining below. This is your y coordinate. So again, the square root of my 1 finger over 2, which the square root of 1 is what? Well, the square root of 1 is just itself, 1. So we should have the coordinate, the square root of 3 over 2, comma, 1/2. Now let's do it again one more time. I'd like you to try it out yourselves. So let's figure out your degree first. So the degree of your pointer finger here. So instead of taking 1/3 of your 90 degree, let's take 2/3. So 90 degrees, and we're going to take 2/3 of it. That's how we write it. No, times 2/3. So when we take your 2/3, we should get a 60-degree angle. So that just means that this angle measure here is 60 degrees, or you can combine one 30-degree with another 30-degree. If we do the same with your pi over 2, I now want 2/3 of it. I should get pi over 3. So your your pointer finger here is pi over 3 or 60 degrees. Now let's go ahead and find that point. Now what I'd like you to do is try it yourself. I might try it down below here. So I'm going to take my pointer finger and put it down. So I have 1 finger remaining above. So that means I have 1/2 is my x, because it's the square root of my 1 finger above over 2. The square root of 1 is just 1. Now I have 3 fingers below. So 1, 2, 3 below. This is my y coordinate. So I have the square root of my 3 fingers over 2. So I have the coordinate 1/2 and root 3 over 2. Now we can do this both for any of your axis points as well. It's just not super necessary. So if we were to repeat that action, right, if I were to put this down below here, right, well, I have 0 fingers in my y, 0 fingers in my y, and 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers above. So I have the square root of 4 over 2, which is 2 over 2, which is 1. So again, that is my coordinate here. If we were to do the same for my other value, so let's say my y up here, so I have 0 fingers in my x, 0 fingers in my x, and 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers for my y. The square root of 4 over 2 is 2 over 2, which is 1, which you're seeing here. So this is your left hand rule. And we can use this to apply it to your other coordinate or your other quadrants. We don't need your right hand. We don't need any other things, right? Any other rules. We all just need a reference angle. So if you see anything that has some number and then pi over 3, we just need to locate the quadrant to figure out, is it going to be a positive or a negative x or y? We just use the same exact point here. We just have to now just decipher, is it positive or negative? Same thing, if you see anything with a number and then pi over 4, you're going to take this point and determine, okay, is it going to be positive or negative depending on where the location is in your quadrants. So that is the left-hand rule. I hope you found it informative. We're going to be using it in class a lot, or using your special right triangles, anything that gets you to click with that information.